Alright, what's up guys? This is NinjaDeathStrike bringing you another Pokemon TCGO battle. This is kind of a follow-up to my How to Not Fail episode number 8, where I showed you guys how to fix the theme decks that they start you off with. This is my version of the Zebstrika deck. I've modified it a little bit more, like I put in my good trainer cards and changed it around just a little bit, but it's very much still in the same spirit as the one I ended up showing you guys at the end of the episode. So we're going to try it out here in Expert Game and see how it does. Actually was trying to play around with it in Novice Game just because I wanted to test it out, but I could only find the basic color decks and that wasn't any fun, so I figured I'd give it a shot in Expert, even though it is way outclassed. And oh well, this turned out to be a really good match. I made a couple of really stupid plays that almost cost me the game, actually. So I'll go through that, talk about what I did, and also how I would fix the deck from what I learned through playing this. So I might actually turn this into a follow-up tutorial. Just talk about how to tweak the deck after you test with it. I think that would be pretty good. And the cool thing here is that I'm actually playing against another modified Furious Knights deck, so that was pretty neat. You get to see kind of another way to go about modifying it. And you see here, he kept the Carablast and the other thing, Escavalier, in, but he still got that Dynamo, and he also dropped a Electabuzz, so he makes one of the beginner player mistakes number one and drops all of his basics right off the bat, which is big catcher fodder for me. And you see right there, I have a catcher in my hand, so my plan was to catcher out that Electabuzz since it has 2 retreat. Can't really do much, but first I'm going to play a level ball. I'm going to go ahead and grab a second Dynamo here, and that is going to put that down on the bench, so hopefully I can get my Electrics up as quickly as possible. You'll also see I have that Zapdos in my hand, but I chose not to play it here because I didn't need it yet and I didn't want it to get catchered. But instead, right here is huge mistake number 1. I forget to play the catcher before I attack. So now, not only is that Carablast not paralyzed, I damage myself 20 because of the Rocky Helmet, and I'm actually going to end up losing a Dynamo right off the bat because I rushed through my turn. So he attaches another Steel Energy here, and I believe he actually he gets a turn 2 Escavalier. So that Dynamo is gone. I can't do anything to help it, and I've lost, a really important part of my deck right off the bat. So he's going to play N here. Not a big deal for me. That hand wasn't great anyhow, so I get into a somewhat better hand here. I get more Dynamo, so that's good. But I am going to lose one, and that's going to pose a problem because if I had catchered out the Electabuzz, I could have actually retreated this Dynamo when I needed to, since I had that energy on it, and then evolved the Dynamo on my bench and used his ability to get some energy onto my Blitzel there on the bench. So I could have potentially had a turn 2 attack going here, but instead I'm actually going to end up setting up a lot slower. So you can see there, he's using the Great Ball. I don't know if he got anything there or he whiffed, but like I said, Great Ball is definitely something you want to take out of the deck. It's just not a very strong card. So I'm going to drop my third Dynamo rather here, and hopefully I'll be able to do something. But he did evolve his Dynamo into Electric. That's a perfect catcher target. It's big and fat, and it's going to let me catcher it out and hopefully buy some time to get my setup going, because I'm doing okay, but I don't have any energy on the field yet, and I really need to get some energy in the discard piles. So I have a choice here about whether or not I want to play my Collector or my Sage, and I actually decide that I'm going to go ahead and play my Collector, and I'm going to grab my Chansey. I thought I probably had one turn here, at least one free turn while he attaches energy, that I would be able to retreat my Zebstrika, and since I've evolved him, he has no retreat. I can go into Cleffa for free, attach an energy to Zebstrika, so he'll be able to attack next turn as opposed to this one had I played it right. And now I can go ahead and eke. So this, not only did I lose my Dynamo, you're going to see here on this turn, by messing up and not being able to attack on the second turn, I am actually going to let him take another prize. He plays a switch here. Had I played my hand right, I would have been able to use Disconnect on the NinjaDeathStrike that turn, and that would have negated his ability to play trainers, so he actually would have been stuck with electric there, but instead he's able to switch out of it, and now he's going to take another prize because my Cleffa woke up. So that one little mistake cost me 2 prizes, and now I'm in a pretty big hole, and I've got some trouble. Like, this S-Cavalier is not going anywhere. It's got a Rocky helmet. Thankfully, it doesn't have any special metal energies on it, so that's nice, but I'm in a hole here, and it's about to get bigger. So you can see my hand, I do have that second electric, so assuming Tynamo survives this round, which I expect he will, I will be able to get both of my energy accelerators in play in time, and that'll be nice. So I'm going to promote Zebstrika here. I can attach a lightning energy from my hand if I need to. And you see right there, I draw a black belt. That's a trainer card I didn't talk about in my tutorial, but it actually works really well in this deck since you are fairly likely to fall behind. Black belt is a supporter that you can only play when you're losing, and when you do, it does 40 extra damage. So here I make another mistake. This wasn't so much a mistake as an experiment. I wasn't sure if it boosted damage for bench attacks, so I went for it just to see if it did, and it turns out it doesn't. So I could have actually taken a prize that turn had I hit Carablast or Electabuzz, but instead I tried to take out the S-Cavalier just because I didn't know how Black Belt worked. So now I've misplayed again, and I wasted a very good supporter, didn't get a prize, and now we have a Cobalion hitting the bench. So you can see that my opponent kind of went the steel route, whereas I went the electric route when we went about fixing this deck. So just different ideas, neither are really wrong. I do think he's kind of wasting space with the electric and Electabuzz line. Again, he's got a lot of evolution lines going on, and that's going to make it a little bit clunkier, but he runs pretty hot in this match, so it doesn't matter too much for him. Anyhow, he's going to P-Calm out here and get that thing. Wow, Zekrom. I can't believe I forgot its name. It's in like every single match. He's going to get a Zekrom. He's going to bench that. So again, he's just benching so many catcher targets here. All this stuff has big retreat cost and doesn't have any energy on it. So, if I get another catcher, he's going to be in trouble because I'm going to be able to stall him out again. I can just sit here and snipe around that electric the whole time. And as soon as he retreats it and brings something else in, I can just catch or something else back out and continue sniping around his stuff. So he uses a potion here to heal 30. That's not going to do anything because I'm still going to hit him for 80, and that's going to be enough to kill it. So there's the Bianca you see. Again, that card worked pretty well. He was able to play his hand down to 3, which means he got to draw 3. It was the same as a Sharon, really. And it worked out pretty well there. So I believe he actually gets a junk arm off of this Bianca, if I'm not mistaken. I know that he gets so many switches in this game. It's maddening. Yep, he gets a junk arm here, so he's going to junk arm away some stuff, get a switch, send S-Cavalier back in, and I think he just goes for guard press because he doesn't actually have enough energy to attack. I'm not sure. Let's see if that's what happens. He could have actually used Dynamotor here to attach that lightning energy to S-Cavalier and gone for the Twin Needle to take me out. So that's another misplay on his part. There's actually going to be several key ones from him as well. So that was a pretty big one because now he doesn't have a chance to take out my Zebstrika. And if he had, that would have been my only attacker gone. So kind of unfortunate for him once again. But now I believe he's going to Dynamotor onto Zekrom. Oh, no, he doesn't even use the power. Wow. He just attacks me for 40, and now damage to him is reduced by 20. So I'm in a bit of a pickle here. My hand sucks. And thanks to the junk arm glitch, I can't actually attach one of the rescue energies and do anything else. So what I decided to do is junk arm away both rescue energies and put myself at 0 cards. Basically put myself into top deck mode. Not that I wasn't already there because of my lack of supporters, but now I have absolutely no hand, which is a really, really bad situation to be in. Kind of unfortunate, but it was also kind of necessary because of the junk arm glitch. You know, I couldn't bring myself down to just junk arm and another card, or I wouldn't be able to do anything. So luckily for me, I am going to be able to Dynamotor twice here and put 2 energies onto my second Zebstrika. That's not going to be enough for Lightning Crash, but it is going to be enough to let me disconnect. And now that I have Electric out here, disconnect is a really strong attack. Even though it only does 40, he can't play any items from his hand, and that includes Switch. And, you know, that was the scenario that I should have been in the first time I attacked, but that I messed up. So now that Electric is absolutely stuck in that spot. Even if he has a Switch, he can't play it this turn. And that is guaranteed to buy me a turn to attack. So he's just going to attach a couple energy, I believe, and pass. And again, he's attaching energy to his bench, which isn't really helping him out. And then I top deck the Professor Oak like a boss and get right back into this game. So I get another Blitzel, I get another level ball, and I get that second black belt, and I also misplay with that. So not so good with the black belts in this game. I actually hold on to it for too long to the point where I can't use it anymore. So I go ahead and get the level ball, and I grab my my Noble Victories Zebstrika, and I believe my thinking here was thanks to that attack that does 90, when combined with Black Belt, it actually does 130. So that's going to let me take out anything on his bench in one hit. And that's really good. That means I can kill that Kabaleon or the Zekrom in one shot when it comes in to revenge me. So that was the plan. Unfortunately, I kind of just freak out and forget to do it later and end up wasting that opportunity to take a prize. So anyhow, it's his turn again. I hit him with Disconnect. So because he's not attaching an energy to that Electric, it is still trapped active, and he just has to draw pass. So I'm starting to claw my way back into this game despite a terrible opening, thanks to my own stupidity. And I do go for the Sage here. I look at what I want. I decide I don't really need the Zapdos. I have all of my Zebras up, and I just don't see it being that useful here. So I go ahead and decide to get rid of it, and obviously I'm going to discard the 2 Lightning Energy because I can just reattach them right away with Electric. That's that synergy that I was talking about in the tutorial number 8. So now I've got 2 Lightning Energy and the Rescue onto my first Zebstrika, and I have free retreat. So I'm going to go ahead, retreat into him, and use Lightning Crash to take out his biggest threat, which is that S-Cavalier with the Rocky Helmet. Since it's on the bench, Rocky Helmet doesn't activate. His potion, not going to be enough to save it, and down it goes. So there we go. I take my first prize, and I'm looking pretty good. Unless he manages to get another switch here, I'm going to have one more turn to snipe something else. And he's not really going to be able to do anything to stop me. So you see I also have that DCE there in my hand. I'm not really going to want to play it down just in case he has a catcher. Those 2 Electrics on my bench with no energy are big catcher targets, and I want the DCE in hand just so I can be guaranteed to be able to get them out of there. So now he attaches an Eviolite to his Kabaleon. That doesn't change things a whole lot since Disconnect is still going to do, or Lightning Crash is still going to do 60 to it. That means it's still a 2-hit KO. And now we see him play a Max Potion onto his Electric. That's a little bit irritating, but not a big deal because, again, he's not putting any energy onto the thing. So it's still trapped out there. But now he plays a Juniper. He gets a whole new hand. And I believe he gets another switch here. Maybe not. He gets quite a few of them throughout the game. It kind of makes my life hard. He goes for another Great Ball and grabs S-Cavalier. I was hoping that he would evolve it right away because again, that would give me another free catcher target should I end up killing this electric. But he puts another Dynamo on the bench instead, and then he goes for a Super Rod. So I'm not sure what he puts back in there, but I think his deck was starting to look a little thin. We've both played through our decks quite fast, so he takes a while to think about what he wants to do here. And looking at my options, I have a really strong hand right now. I can Sage next turn to get some more cards that I need and possibly dump a few more energies into the discard pile. And I've got a catcher, I've got a junk arm, so when that electric does get back to the bench, I'm going to be able to pull it right back out twice more in a row if I need to. Plus I've got the 2 switches, so I can also use those on the electrics if mine get catchered out. So he does evolve into Escavalier here again. Kind of a misplay because he doesn't have any energy for it. So now if I catcher it out, it's stuck there as well. And it's got a big retreat cost. So I'm going to go ahead and draw Collector. I believe I play it. Maybe I probably actually go for the Sage. I don't remember which supporter I decide to use, but I'm going to check the discard pile to see what's in there. I wanted to see how many Zebras I have left, I think. But I can go ahead and use Dynamotor again, put it onto the bench ZebStrike, and now you see, that Dynamotor discard synergy coming into play. And again, the free retreat, I can send the benched one active and then Dynamotor onto the one that was just active to get him recharged, and next time I can repeat the whole process. So I do decide to go for the Sage here. Just grab the Lost Remover and another Sage in case I need it, and just put another Lightning Energy into the discard where I'll have access to it whenever I want it. So I was thinking about actually trying to get a third ZebStrike there, but I couldn't quite manage it. So since I have 3 Lightning Energy, I have to discard them all. And here's another misplay for me. I decide to target down Cobalion, even though I had 2 free prizes sitting on his bench. I had both Electric and Electabuzz, and I also could have played the Black Belt that turn and catchered the Cobalion active, charged up the ZebStrike, the Noble Victories ZebStrike, instead of the other one on my bench, and actually taken out that Cobalion in one hit. So that was a completely wasted turn. It's going to give him another turn to attach more energies. He puts one onto his electric here, and he also actually draws into a switch with that Engineer's Adjustment. So not only is he going to basically prevent me from catching out his electric again since he's got energy on it, he's going to be able to get it out for free this turn and let something attack. Luckily for me, the only thing he has charged up is Cobalion, and neither attack is going to be able to kill me. Plus, I don't have any energy, so Energy Press is not going to be very effective. And I also have a free retreat, so Iron Breaker is not going to prevent me from attacking since I'll be able to retreat out for free. But now you see the Cobalion's active. It's not going to be a big problem to kill it, but had I catchered it out last turn, used the Black Belt, and killed it that way, I would not have had to take that damage at all. So another really stupid play from me. But I can't take it back, and I need to deal with this Cobalion because, it's obviously the biggest threat. It's got all the energy. It's gonna kill me. So I do have that catcher in hand. I can pull something else active. I'm gonna choose to drag up that Escavalier since it doesn't have any energy on it. Then I can retreat into my ZebStrike, begin powering up the second one again, and I can use Lightning Crash to take out that Cobalion. So I could have still killed it when it was in the active spot, but it was actually much more effective to catcher the Escavalier out, then kill it on the bench, because now my opponent doesn't get to decide what to send in. He has this Escavalier trapped here for at least 2 turns before it can do anything, barring another switch. So I think about what I want to do here. I could attach an energy if I wanted to. I still have that DCE, which has potential to be attached to that second Zekrom, just because it'll if I do it that way, I won't have to discard 3 energies every time I attack, but it's almost dead, so I decide just to hang on to it for now because I don't really need it. But I'm going to use Lightning Crash again, snipe the Cobalion that is now safely on the bench, and take another prize. So I get another Junk Arm. That's great. Again, it's kind of switch insurance. I am kind of worried about that Zekrom. If he Dynamotors onto it and then has a switch, it's going to be able to kill me, but that will let me use Black Belt again to take it out with my Noble Victory Zebstrika. Here, though, he finally gets his Electivire, and again, had I sniped out that easy prize of the Electabuzz on the bench earlier, I wouldn't be in this situation. It would already be knocked out. So I made the mistake of going for the big guys when I didn't really have to. You know, I could have just sniped out the unevolved things very easily, or catchered out the big things and taken them out in one hit. So I don't feel like I played this match very well, but hopefully you guys will be able to learn from my mistakes. And that's another thing when you're building a deck. You need to test it. Like, this is another reason I wanted to put this video up, to talk about the importance of actually testing your decks. What works in theory may not work in real life. You know, you may think you have this great deck, and then when you go to play it, it sucks. It doesn't work. A good example in this deck is those Zapdos. I put them in there just because they resist fighting. They're able to snipe, but I found out when I'm actually in the game, I don't really have a use for them. They can only snipe for 50. Which does mean they can take out a lot of basics, but 100 damage over 2 turns is not really going to cut it anymore with so many giant basics in the game. And I didn't have need for them. So, you know, I wouldn't have known that unless I'd actually tested the deck. And I also didn't really think about the importance of when I play my black belts. That's another thing that I've messed up here. But, you know, through testing, you're able to get a better feel for your deck and understand when you need to do what. And that's why it's really important to play your deck a lot. Like, play the same deck a lot if you're going to be using a main deck, just because the more you play it, the more comfortable you're going to feel with it. If you jump around and play a ton of different decks all the time, you're never going to do as well as you would if you just played the deck you know and learned how to use it to the best of its ability. So because I'm not familiar with this deck, you can see I made quite a few misplays that I really should have seen past. But the more you play with it, the more comfortable you get with it, and the less you'll end up doing that. So it's very important to test quite a bit with your deck. And another thing is not to let one game throw you. You know, for example, if you have some cards that you have in there teched in for a certain matchup, and then you don't see that matchup and the cards don't really work in the game you play, just because they didn't work in one game doesn't mean that you won't need them for good. So it's better to play at least probably 4 or 5 games before you really start changing your deck list around, because after that many, you'll start to be able to see what's useful and what's not. And so after this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about tweaking your deck and how to use your testing to improve your deck list. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But for now, back to the match. You can see I just sniped his Electric there because it really was the only easy target left. I've kind of wasted a bunch of time, and now everything's got energy on it, and that's not good for me. It's really a big problem because I don't have any more catcher targets. And as we've seen throughout this whole match, this deck, my deck, really excels when it's able to catcher out something fat and then snipe around it on the bench from safety, since all of my Pokemon don't really have the HP to take these sustained attacks. But now I'm kind of, again, in a tough spot because I don't have any other easy targets, and I don't have any other fat guys to catcher out without danger of a counterattack. So I'm going to check out my discard pile real quick there. I was looking to see if I had another Zebstrika. in my deck, and it turns out I do. I actually run a 4/4 because they're the main attacker. So what I decide to do here is Junk Arm away a switch and a Lost Remover. If he hasn't played a special metal energy yet, he probably doesn't have one. And I'm going to grab a level ball. I really wanted to save my Junk Arms for catchers, but I need to get another attack up this turn. And so I'm going to use that level ball to grab my other Zebstrika, evolve my Blitzel, and use him to attack this turn. So he's going to take a while to recognize that. Again, I could put the Zapdos down here, but it's not really going to serve a purpose. Yeah, it's got more hit points, but Zekrom kills them both, and Escavalier kills them both. So the only thing that it would take more damage to kill would be from Electivire. But I really just didn't have a use for the Zapdos that game. So he's just going to sit in my hand for the rest of the match. But I'm going to play down this Zebstrika here, and then I believe I was thinking about attacking with, again, the Noble Victory Zebstrika, but since he used Guard Press, that is not an option. The 90 damage is not going to be enough, and now that I've actually taken the lead, I can't use the Black Belt to get the boost, so I just decide to sack this Zebstrika, hit him with Disconnect for 20, and then next turn I can bring in the other Zebstrika, and even if he uses Guard Press, Lightning Crash will still do 70 damage, and that'll be just enough to take him out. So that's what I do here, and that'll keep him from using any trainers as well. Not that there's any he could really use to help himself out, but that was the best option. Oh, I guess I retreat here just to force him to go for Twin Needle. Like, if he's going to attach an energy, I want it to be to that Escavalier, since I can kill it. So I retreat into the fresh Zebstrika and hit him for 20, which means I'll definitely be able to take him out next turn. And it's going to force him to try to kill me on a double heads flip, which will be good, because with the other one, he could just go for Guard Press again and take me out for sure. So he gets a bunch of his energy back here. Luckily, he doesn't have a way to accelerate it anymore since I killed his Electrics. But he is going to be able to attack if he wants to. So he attaches another one here, and I was actually thinking I'm probably going to lose this match since there's a good chance he could flip double heads, and then he can take out my other Zebstrika with whatever he wants, and then I'd be in a bit of trouble. It was going to be close, but he makes a huge mistake and hard retreats into his Electivire so that he can use whatever that attack is. It just does 50 to everything with energy attached to it, and that won me the game. I think I might have been able to pull it off otherwise, but it would have been a lot closer. But because he went for that attack, he discarded all the energy off of his Escavalier. I'm going to be able to Junk Arm for a catcher, and he's just going to be trapped active while I snipe around him again, which is really what this deck excels at. So I'm going to end up hard attaching to the active Zebstrika, because I can't evolve the one on the bench, obviously. I just had to put it back down, and I decide to get rid of my Collector and another Sage. Since I'm almost out of cards, Sage would be a bad idea. And that's going to be my last Junk Arm. That's my last opportunity for a catcher. So if he gets a switch, we're in big trouble. Actually, if he gets a switch, he's going to win the game, because he's going to be able to use that attack again to take out both. Oh no, Blitzel's got 60, so it could have survived. Never mind. But anyhow, my best chance to win is to catcher out the Escavalier, take it out, and then go for the Lightning Crash on the bench, on the Electivire, obviously, because it's a 3-hit KO on Zekrom. Oh no, it's not. It does 80. Whatever. Sorry, just ignore me. I could have hit either of them, but I just decided to go with Electivire because it hurt me, so I wanted it dead. So there we go. He's trapped again, unless he's got another switch or another junk arm. He's not going to be able to get out of that spot. So I believe he thinks for a long time here about what he wants to do. And I'm also trying to formulate my plan. If he does get a switch, this Zebstrika is going to go down. I'm going to have to promote the Blitzel, but I can evolve it, and then I would be able to charge up the one on the bench. And if he had gone into Zekrom, I would have been able to OHKO it with a black belt boosted attack for 90. If he went back into Electivire, I could have just taken it out with either of them, and then cleaned up with the Escavalier and another Lightning Crash the next round. So I was in a position to win there, but he makes it easy on me as he just attaches to his bench again. I guess not realizing that I'm going to be able to just ignore the active for as long as I want. I don't really know what his thought process was here at the end. But anyhow, yep, I sniped that Electivire. That's another prize. And I win next turn. The only thing that could save him would be a potion that would buy him one more turn, but he'd need a potion and a switch. And then I'd be in some trouble, but he doesn't have that. So I think he's just going to concede here, or maybe he just attaches to Zekrom and passes. I don't know. But the game's over, so you can see as I did some testing, I found some aspects of my deck that worked, and I found some that didn't. So after this match is over, I'm going to go back into the deck builder, and we're going to talk about how to tweak your deck. So I'll do that as soon as I finish the game here. Here we go. Lightning Crash onto Escavalier. That's going to do 80. That's going to be the game. Alright, so there you go. That's how the deck works. Not exactly the same list as I show you guys, but very, very similar. And yep, look at that, 870 damage from Zebstrika. That's pretty fantastic. So, alright guys, let's go to the deck builder. Okay, so here's our deck. This is the one that I just played with. And let's talk about tweaking your deck after testing. So, even though I only showed you guys one match, let's just pretend that I played some more. And so I have a better idea of exactly what's going on with my deck right now. And I want to make some changes to it. So the first thing that you need to figure out is, what's not working. And this is usually really clear. You'll just see cards that you don't have any use for. So in this case, the Zapdos are just really not doing anything. I find Thundering Hurricane is too unreliable. Random Spark doesn't do enough damage. Their extra HP is nice, but it doesn't really surpass the 130 benchmark. So they're just kind of dead space, and I think I could find some better Pokemon to use here. So we're going to get rid of them. Also, when I look at my trainers, let's say, I realize that I don't actually need to use Pokegear that much. I run quite a few supporters, and I'm just end up discarding it or not really using it. So we're going to decide to get rid of that too. And so now we've got a little bit of free space. We've got 3 spots. So let's look at our options. Obviously, we don't want to have Zebstrika as our only attacker. You always want a main attacker and at least one backup attacker. And it's a good idea to try to find a backup attacker who can complement your main attacker in some way. So if we look at Zebstrika here, he's got 90 HP. He's a lightning type, so his weakness is fighting. And it would be really nice if we could find something that resists fighting, that is able to use either lightning or colorless energy. And that's why I had Zapdos in there, because he did resist fighting, so he gave me a bit of a check to some fighting types. But there's actually a Pokemon that does a much better job of that, and he is a little bit more expensive, but I'm going to talk about him anyhow. Most of you have probably figured out who it is by now. Our good friend Tornadus. Tornadus from Emerging Powers is just an amazing card right now. And he's a colorless type, so he's able to use any kind of energy, especially lightning energy. So if we put 2 of him in here, not only does he help cover our fighting weakness with his resistance, his attack Hurricane is also going to be really helpful because it allows us to conserve our energy once more and move a basic energy that's attached to Tornadus to one of our bench Pokemon. So we have the potential to be able to move a lightning energy onto the Zebstrika, and that combined with having 2 electrics on the bench would actually mean that we could afford to use that Lightning Crash with 3 electric energy on those turns, because then we can just move 1 with Tornadus and then attach 2 with electrics. So, he pairs really well with what we've got going on here. And let's also say that our Dynamo here, you can see I have 2 of the 40 HP Dynamo and 1 of the 30. The main reason I have the 1 with 30 is because he has a free retreat cost, but as we've seen in this deck, we actually have a lot of free retreaters. And this Dynamo is pretty susceptible to being taken out on the bench. Kyurem kills him really fast. Anything that can snipe for 30. He also gets taken out by Tyrogue. So let's say, we're finding out that he's kind of hard to keep alive. Since we already have so many free retreaters, we're going to go ahead and change him out and put in another 40 HP one. So this buys us 1 more turn against things like Tyrogue and Kyurem. And it's really going to help us out. So now we still have that extra space from Pokegear. We can talk about what items we want to put in. And there's still, like I said, we have quite a few options. As I mentioned in the last video, Max Potion is actually a really strong option. However, I'm going to recommend against it here just because nothing we have really has a lot of HP. These Zebstrikers only have 90, and Tornadus is a little bit better at 110, but they all fall under that big 130 mark, and that means there are quite a few things that are going to be able to KO all this stuff in one shot. So I don't really think that having that extra Max Potion is going to do a whole lot of good for us. We could add in another rescue energy here if we wanted to. We saw in the video that I made, I actually had to discard 2 of them with Junk Arm, which was kind of unfortunate. But that's one of the things where I was talking about. You can't take all of your testing just from one match. You need to play through it more. The chances of that happening again, not very high. So I think 3 is plenty. We're not going to need more than that because if we revive 3 Zebstrika, that's going to be like 6 prizes right there. So it won't really matter. Again, there's the option for a revive, but that's not going to help us out a whole lot since none of our attackers besides Tornadus are basic. We could, however, add in another DCE, and what this would do would give us the option to power up Tornadus a lot quicker, which is always a good thing. There's also, of course, Super Scoop Up. Again, this works best with big basics, but it is an option here. It's kind of flippy, but it could let us pick up one of our electrics if they get dragged to active, or pick up a Tornadus if we want to get him off the field. However, picking up electric really isn't that great of an idea since you're going to have to take another turn to evolve him. So it's a little bit too slow. Eviolite, as I mentioned, would work with Tornadus, but it's not really going to help us out a whole lot. Rocky Helmet would not be a bad idea just for scoring residual damage. A lot of our attackers don't hit for too much. All of our attacks are doing 80 or 90 damage, and a Rocky Helmet's going to put us at 100 to 110. While this isn't enough to take on things like the dragons, it will give us KOs on the genies. So it's an option. I don't think it's that great, especially as a one-of. You normally want to run at least 2 of a card like that. So we could also put in a PCOM if we're finding we're not getting things out fast enough. But again, I think that we have so many level ball, plus the collectors are really going to make PCOM kind of unnecessary. So let's see. What else do we have that we could add in? There's a plus power, but we talked about why that's not a great idea. We could put in another lost remover, but I really think one is sufficient, especially with the junk arms going on. So let's decide to put in... Let's go for the other DCE. That'll bump us up to 14 energy, just so we have some more to play with. And I don't think that we'll miss that other trainer too much. So this is our revised deck. You know, it's not like a complete overhaul, but that's what tweaking is. You're just finding those couple cards that aren't really fitting in and finding a better way to make your deck work, you know, finding a better card for that position, what's going to be the most useful. So, you know, we changed a total of 3 or 4 cards, not that much, but you know, when you test again, you could find out that this makes a huge difference. And so that's why it's really important to always be tweaking your decks, and don't be afraid to try something new. Even if it doesn't work, you can just take it out later, but I really advise changing around your deck every once in a while, just, you know, experimenting, finding out what works for you. You know, some people might play this deck and they might really like the Zapdos in it and decide to actually bump that line up more instead of putting the Tornadus. Some people might change it and, you know, put a completely different card in. They might tech in a Terrakion to help them fight other lightning decks. So it's really up to you. You need to find what fits your play style and just test your deck and learn to use it, get to know it, and you'll find that you do a lot better with it. So that's going to do it for this episode. Hope it was helpful, and I'll have more coming your way shortly. Thanks, guys.